Welcome to the EdTech Teacher Podcast. In this podcast series, we share our love of technology with you and provide you with tips, tricks, and tools to help you use technology in your classroom today. Here is your host and the EdTech Teacher Creator, Tristan.
Hello everybody and welcome to the final episode of Season 2 of the EdTech Teacher Podcast. I can't believe that this is the 20th episode of the main series of the EdTech Teacher Podcast already. 20 episodes. It's amazing. Well, in this episode, we are going to go and reflect on the EdTech Teacher Podcast journey that I've been on throughout 2020. I'm also going to share with you my top 5 podcast episodes. And I'm also going to talk to you and reflect on the challenges that we've all faced in 2020 as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. So let's get started with episode 10 of season 2 of the EdTech Teacher Podcast. Wow, what a year we have all had around the globe and as teachers. When I started the EdTech Teacher, it was January 2020. Down here in Australia, we were experiencing some really extreme bushfires. The air was absolutely horrid. It was so hard to see anything because of the thick, dense smoke that we were experiencing. Every day, it felt like we were living in an apocalyptic wasteland. It was just so challenging to breathe and see and to just go about our normal everyday lives. And to top it off, down here in Australia during January, it's summertime, so the temperatures were quite high, it was hot, and we were experiencing bushfires and the consequences of those bushfires. But do you know what? I didn't let that particular experience get me down. It's actually when I started thinking about how I could share my expertise and my love of EdTech, and that is how the EdTech Teacher was started. I wanted to share my love of EdTech with people, and I wanted to do that in a way that was sustainable, manageable, and something that would be able to engage people. So I actually started off by creating some really simple infographics after being inspired by Matt Miller from Ditch That Textbook. I actually watched one of his awesome webinars over the summertime here in Australia, and that's where I was inspired to go and start to create some infographics. From there, I started to move into creating some YouTube tutorials on various applications that teachers could use and things that I have expertise and experience in using. And now I have the EdTech Teacher Podcast series, which is my latest addition to the EdTech Teacher universe. I guess the one main takeaway from this is that if you want to share something, I encourage you to share it. If you have a passion for your learning area, you have a passion for creativity, you like well-being, you like to develop your colleagues, then find a way to share it. Create infographics. They're really simple. Create a Twitter account and start tweeting out to people and connecting with other educators. Go and create a YouTube channel. It's free and it's actually much more simple than you might think. Go and use other applications like Wakelet. It's been one of my new favorite resources of 2020. I've learned so much this year as the EdTech Teacher and the creator of the EdTech Teacher, and I've been lucky to connect with some amazing educators around the world. Sure, I may not have met them, I may not have spoken to them, but we have connected through areas like, tweeting on Twitter. And this has probably been my highlight of 2020, creating the EdTech Teacher, building up my audience, building up my resources so that I can share my love of EdTech with you. So I encourage you to find a passion and to see how you can share your passion with other educators, because we're all here to help each other. And I think 2020 has shown us that we now need to connect even more than we have in the past. So one of the biggest challenges that we have all faced as educators and people in 2020 has been the COVID-19 pandemic. Look, I'm not going to lie, COVID-19 has changed the world in so many ways, and it's really changed the way that we have approached education. Down here in Australia, we have been relatively lucky with our COVID-19 pandemic. Most of our Australian states managed to escape a major disruption to education due to COVID. Now, I say most of them because there were some states that did have to go into remote learning for a little bit longer than others. But as a whole, we did pretty well with our COVID-19 pandemic management. But if we look beyond those disruptions and we look beyond the idea that students are falling behind, I think that this pandemic has actually allowed us to go back and look at what we do as educators. It's actually allowed us to go and learn new things, especially when it comes to technology. And this is one thing that I am so impressed with. All of the amazing educators here in Australia and across the world, we basically took what we do in the classroom and we changed it overnight to cater for the pandemic and to cater for our remote learning opportunities that we had to experience and we had to contend with at a time. And this is the really great thing about educators. Our students are at the forefront of everything that we do. So not only did we change the way that we delivered our learning, but we also engaged in a whole range of learning ourselves to make sure that we were catering for all of our students. So, whether you went from using G Suite, you started using Microsoft Teams, OneNote, YouTube, Looms, Screencastify, Nearpod, Pear Deck, whatever it was, every educator has taken something away from this pandemic. We've overcome those challenges. We've learned something new when it came to educational technology and finding new ways to develop capacity in our students. But we also made sure that we did everything we could to keep learning going, to make sure that our students felt connected, felt supported during this really, really tough time of 2020.
Right, this year on the show, we have explored so many different things, but here are my top 5 favorite The EdTech Teacher episodes. And if you haven't listened to them already, please go and listen to them and help support and grow the EdTech Teacher podcast. Coming in at number 5 is Season 1, Episode 3. In this episode, I discussed with you some awesome teacher certification programs that teachers can complete to develop their educational technology capacity. A must listen if you are looking for some ways to improve your technological skills and developing your capacity to integrate technology into your classroom. Coming in at number 4 is Season 1, Episode 6. In this episode, I shared with you some really useful keyboard shortcuts. Keyboard shortcuts are one of those mysterious things that you might not know about until somebody tells you. But once you know about them, they will save you a truckload of time. So go and check out Season 1, Episode 6 to find out more about useful keyboard shortcuts. All right, coming in at number 3, Season 2, Episode 2. In this episode, I got to tell you all about some amazing EdTech educators from America who have been so inspirational on my own EdTech journey. The support I've received from these educators has driven me to continue to keep my EdTech journey with the EdTech Teacher going, especially throughout 2020 and in the pandemic that we've all experienced. So go and have a listen to Season 2, Episode 2 to find out about these awesome American EdTechers. Coming in at number 2 is Season 2, Episode 5. In this episode, I shared one of my favorite tools, and that is Animoto. Animoto is an amazing video creation tool that I use myself to create my YouTube tutorial videos for the EdTech Teacher. And now, my favorite, the EdTech Teacher episode so far in Season 2 is Episode 6, which focused on Anchor FM. Anchor is a podcast creator that is free to use and access. In fact, it is what I am using right now to record the EdTech Teacher podcast. This episode is my favorite of our series so far. It is the longest episode that I have recorded, but I loved it because it allowed me to showcase my experience with Anchor and outline how you could use it in your own classroom. So go and check out Season 2, Episode 6 on Anchor FM. Well, I can't believe that we are already at 20 episodes of the EdTech Teacher podcast. We have explored so much so far, and there's so much more that we're going to explore and continue to grow and develop the EdTech Teacher podcast journey over the coming years ahead. Well, I just spoke about my favorite EdTech Teacher podcast episodes so far. So we've reflected on what we've achieved in 2020 with the EdTech Teacher. It's been an amazing journey. But what about 2021? I think 2021 is going to be just as amazing and awesome for myself and my EdTech Teacher journey. I will have a brand new tutorial series on Planboard and Markboard by Chalk coming in January. This is a series that I broached on Twitter, and Chalk CEO William has been a big supporter of this initiative. He loves teachers sharing their experience and sharing their utility and program with other people. So I'm so looking forward to bringing you my series about Planboard and Markboard from Chalk. I also have some other EdTech resources that I plan to use to create video tutorials, and I'll continue to work on more infographics in 2021. But myself, like most of us out there, I am a full-time teacher, and this is my side project and my hobby, but it is something that I am very passionate about. So sometimes the EdTech Teacher might get a little bit neglected when I'm a little bit busy with my day-to-day teaching and making sure that I'm catering for my students. But I just want every one of my listeners to know that I am always thinking about new ways to help everyone with their EdTech journey. So stay tuned for more in 2021, and hopefully I can continue to inspire you to implement and integrate new technology into your classroom to help your students develop that technological capacity. Well, I can't believe, but this already brings us to the end of episode 10 of season 2 of the EdTech Teacher podcast. I just want to say a huge thank you to every single person who has listened to the EdTech Teacher podcast this year. Look, our podcast was a spontaneous adventure, but it has been so exciting to record each episode and continue to share my love of EdTech with you. So don't forget that you can follow us on Facebook, you can tweet with us on Twitter, and I would love it if you could subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I would absolutely love if you could do that. Well, we have heaps more coming to you in 2021, and you could find out more about today's episode and links in our show notes in our Wakelet collection. The link to the show notes Wakelet is in the description of this episode on Anchor and on our YouTube channel. Well, I hope that everyone has had a fantastic 2020 as best we can dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. But it is the end of 2020, and I hope you have a wonderful Christmas or holiday break wherever you are in the world and whatever you celebrate. 2020 has been challenging for every educator, but every educator throughout the world has continued to show every single person how amazing we really are. Well, this is a wrap for Season 2 and the main episodes of the EdTech Teacher podcast for 2020. My name is Tristan. I am the creator of the EdTech Teacher, and until next time, stay safe, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the EdTech Teacher podcast. If you've made it this far, we'll take it that you've enjoyed this week's episode. While you wait for the next episode, don't forget to check out our website, www.theedtechteacher.net, or follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with everything from the EdTech Teacher.